And good afternoon, Central Texas. This is the Real Estate Zone, our weekly radio show about Central Texas real estate. My name's John McClellan. I'm a local mortgage banker here in town. As always, joined by Kevin Bown, a local real estate broker. Kevin, what's happening?
Hello, John.
14 years plus on the radio, giving out hopefully good advice to all of our listeners and all of our friends.
We do have fun.
Some of our family members who like to listen to.
Yes. Hello.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Actually, I had lunch with my mom today. I'm like, she goes, where are you going? I go, yeah, you know I do a radio show like for 14 years now, right, on Saturdays, Mom. And she's like, oh, yeah.
I'm in a emotional state I'm going to call weather surprised. Pleasantly weather surprised. Yesterday, it was supposed to be raining today, and it's not. It is
gorgeous
beautiful
outside
today.
Hot, is it where it's like 88 degrees outside?
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, and guess what's happening this week?
South by Southwest.
South by Southwest. It is that time of year, and the focus is on Austin once again. It doesn't happen just once a year, but it happens multiple times. This is our first big festival of the year, and as I said, all eyes are on us, and all ears, too.
Yeah, it's neat just to see how much innovation crowds into Austin just to innovate. And
why don't they innovate the roads?
That'd be a good one.
Have you been on the roads today?
Another week, South by Southwest road improvement.
Yeah, I went and saw my mom today for lunch, and she lives over behind in the Barton Hills area, and it looked like it was Thursday PM traffic going down Mopac, and obviously the Zilker Park was packed with people.
Oh yeah,
walking around. There's signs up, festival running. Be careful, delays. There were a few delays, so maybe they should innovate some of our roads before they become a problem.
Yeah, well, I think
they already are.
There are actually probably some sessions that are dealing with mass transit and driverless cars and some of the technology-related solutions that we might see. And those are interesting to think about because they can change real estate. Transportation and real estate
absolutely
are really married to each other. That's what we describe when we say location, location, location. It's location relative to what? Well, relative to the things you want to get to your job, to your favorite restaurant, to the park.
Right.
So, we should really think about transportation because it does affect real estate patterns, trends, price appreciation, and all the fun stuff that we care about.
I read a story probably about a year or so ago that curves and roads, especially in highways, usually are the bottlenecks, right? Not the wrecks and everything. And if you notice like a 183 by a Catfish Parlor, when it makes that turn there,
always slows down.
That one person taps their brake, then the next person taps it a little harder, the next person taps it a little harder. Mopac is the same way in a couple of spots. So maybe we should innovate around there. And I think that's one of the big pushes for self-driving cars is they wouldn't have that problem, right? Keep that perfect distance, hopefully, until you have me going in and out with that, not driving myself.
Yeah.
So we're talking about South by Southwest when it's doing here for in the Austin area. It's obviously the market is. I'll admit it. It's hotter than I thought it was going to be, Kevin, and not because of South by Southwest, but just because of everything that we're seeing here in the Austin area. Obviously, we know that New Jersey decided they didn't want Amazon, or maybe it was the other way around. New York, excuse me, didn't want Amazon. Actually, Amazon didn't want them. And so it looks like they're moving a lot of these jobs into different areas around the country. And Austin seems to be, from what I'm seeing, one of the winners of a denial of New York.
Yeah, it's true.
Have you seen them taking some extra space here on the commercial side?
Yeah, they've taken reportedly another 125,000 square feet or so at the Domain. Yeah, and we'll see if that continues. That's the same week. That announcement of Google leasing an entire tower downtown that's under construction.
Yeah, tell me more about that. So which tower is it? Is it one of the new ones that's being built?
We used to have what was called the Green Water Treatment Plant. It was a big water treatment plant that was located downtown, just between Cesar Chavez and 3rd Street and just adjacent to Shoal Creek. And that was decommissioned many years ago and was actually cut into 4 blocks. So there was street extensions that were created at Nueces and then 2nd Street that sort of form a grid at this bigger 4-block site. 3 of those blocks have been built and developed and have people occupying them. This is the 4th block, which is under construction now. So if you pass by Cesar Chavez, you'll see all the construction and dirt moving around. And yeah, so that they reportedly have leased the entire building. Pretty large move. So we see not only a huge amount of development and new companies going into the Domain area, which we've predicted and we've shared with our listeners about what can happen there and the magnitude of that. But we also see downtown staying as a important destination. So both power centers have a lot of life to them. It's not a shift away from downtown to the Domain, where we have seen some of those shifts take place. Like in our tech boom, we saw a lot of tech that was setting up shop along 360. Remember the moniker Silicon Hills?
Right. And
that kind of disappeared because all the tech moved back to downtown.
Well, because it was cheaper down there, right? And for obvious reasons at that point.
And it became more competitive to get good employees. So employers, maybe the CEOs lived out in Westlake, close to these office buildings on 360, but they were trying to lure all their workers from other parts of the city. And so returning to downtown made it easier to recruit against your competitor from that standpoint.
And I think that's important, right? If so, we look at the unemployment rate here in the Austin area, which for December was 2.5. It's 2.5%, which is incredibly low for the Austin area, right? It's lower than Texas, not lower than the U.S. Unemployment rate. But 2.5%, it's hard to get employees off the streets and out of other companies. You got to pay them more, right? Give them better benefits, or give them a more walkable space that they can work in, right? Which would be downtown. Obviously, if you're working in downtown Austin right now, during the week you can go to South by Southwest. We have to worry about parking, things like that, right? That walkability that we talk about all the time. And luckily for us, 2.5% unemployment rate here in the Austin area is obviously extremely low. With that comes its own problems of how do you find new employees without paying them extreme amount more to do it. The good news is we still have a lot of people moving here to the Austin area, right?
Right.
Obviously, they're all coming down Mopac on the way here, right?
Yes.
Every single day, and I-35. But that is definitely helping us out. If I hear people complain about, man, the city's growing so much. It's, the traffic's bad. This is, not going good. Well, I got to tell you, I agree at some point. Yes, I'm like, it is tough, right, during this transition. But let's look at the flip side. If this city was losing population,
right,
and it had a high unemployment rate, that would be worse.
Yes.
Right. If during rush hour traffic, it could take you 5 minutes or 10 minutes to go from 183 to downtown. It's probably bigger problems you're worrying about than being fast on Mopac.
You're right. Yeah, we're dealing with the preferred problems over those can be disastrous. Where Detroit's the classical city that always gets thrown out, but where they're having to figure out how to literally demolish houses, vacant houses, so that they can turn off utilities to a street. So all the things that happen here in reverse, right? We're building new streets, putting in new utilities, and building houses. They're having to kind of do that in a reverse order.
It's like Sim City.
It is.
It is. It actually has that feature in it from years ago that I remember.
It does.
All right, guys, you're listening to the Real Estate Zone. We are live today taking your phone calls. Phone number 512-836-0590. That's 512-836-0590. Questions, comments. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget about our website at austinrealestatedaily.com. That's Austin Real Estate Daily, because real estate happens on a
daily basis.
Thank you, Kevin. And Kevin, your website for your company
is 12 Rivers Realty, all spelled out. You have to spell the word. 12 Rivers Realty.
And they're downtown at 7th and Rio Grande. So smack dab right in the middle of everything going on this week.
That's right.
I understand y'all have a big South by party you're throwing that y'all do every single year.
We do. Yeah, you can find it on Facebook. It raises a lot of money for charity, but we have a incredible lineup, a lot of good music, and it's at Cedar Street Courtyard this year, so we can fit something like 1,200 people there.
Yeah, you have a pretty good lineup this year, too.
It's pretty exciting, yeah.
But we can't talk about it, though. You can go to their Facebook page and check it out.
You can check it out.
All right, guys, don't forget, phone call, 512-836-0590. We do have lines open. If you want to talk about Central Texas real estate, any problems you foresee, any things that are happening around you. Also, if you'd like to know what's going on in your neighborhood in this hot market, give us a call, 512-836-0590. 0590. You can call or text 836-0590. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Real Estate Zone, our weekly radio show about Central Texas real estate. My name's John McClellan, local mortgage banker here in town. Always joined by Kevin Bown, a local real estate broker. Our 14th year doing the radio show. We're here to take your phone calls, 512-836-0590. That's 512-836-0590. Don't forget, you can call or text to that number if you don't want to go in the air with us, but you do have a specific question. Give us a call, 512-836-0590. It is spring break for Baylor. I know that. I have 2 kids at Baylor. They're off this week and having a little bit of fun, relaxing a little bit. UT's not off this week, though, from what I hear, which is going to make it, I heard, difficult for some of the South by South volunteers, unless they want to skip school. right?
Yeah.
Or be really hungover the next day or just tired. Right?
That was the rumor that the lines were pretty brutal at badge check-in, that kind of thing, and they said that their volunteers were short.
It's maybe it was finals week or something. Guys, speaking of the phone, we do have lines open 836-0590. Let's go to Nick in Cedar Park. Hey, Nick, thanks for calling. You had a question for us.
Yes, I have a question. About 3 years ago, I bought 4 acres in Liberty Hill, an established community, a small gated community. We bought the 4 acres for $90,000. It didn't come with utilities. We have to put septic and well.
Did you do those improvements, or is it just raw land at the moment?
At the time, it was raw land. We're fixing to build. I was just curious if the price of the land like that has improved over the past 3 years. I mean, like I said, we paid $90,000. We thought we had a good deal, and we feel very, very good about the property. We really like the property. I was just curious, what was the market now?
Yeah, let me ask you a question about the community. And is it governed by an HOA? Is it mandatory HOA, or are there any specific deed restrictions in there?
Yes.
So like no double wides or manufactured homes, anything like that in that area?
No. It's a small gated community.
All right. And do you know approximately how many lots are in that community?
I do not. Gosh.
Just take a wild guess. 500 or 550?
No, I would say probably 60 to 70.
Okay. All right. Kevin, what
and
do you
then
thought?
Also, one question that there's a lot of variety in this parcel size. There's a variety in values that's dependent on trees out in Liberty Hills. Does your parcel have some nice big trees on it, or is it
and oaks, not cedars?
Yeah, or is it more?
No. Yes, I do have old established oaks, and a lot of the lots in the neighborhood have old established oaks.
Yeah, so that's going to be very much desired, a premium feature. And so basically, I'm looking at what has sold in the last year in that size range of parcel and what's active now. And I think, we would want to do a little more time to study your survey and take a look at those things. But I would think that you definitely are somewhere in between $150,000 and $200,000 in value.
Yeah, and remember, Nick, and I don't know if you listened to the show before, one of the things we really talk about is, remember, your house depreciates. The land is what appreciates. And the more land you can buy with the house acquisition, and so you have, the bigger the land ratio is to the whole transaction, the better, right? Because if the land's only 10% and it's appreciating 10%, that's a very small percentage compared if the land's 40% and that 40% is appreciating 10%. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, it does.
Yeah, so quadruples what your true what your effective appreciation rate can be on a property. So, having that 4 acres, and as you well know, Liberty Hill, even going out to Bertram, is absolutely exploding. Luckily, they're doing some road improvements out in that area, but it is definitely one of those areas that if you've ever been up to Dallas and to Prosper and Plano area, I'm kind of equating it that that's what it is, the new Prosper of the Austin Metro.
Yes, as a matter of fact, when we first purchased the piece of property, there's a road that cuts across Leander, called Back That Road, which is County Road 279. Really, there was hardly anything going on in that end, but now there's big builders starting to establish some new subdivisions. They're expanding the road. So, yes, I think it continues to grow. So we're very excited. Like I said, we felt at the time that we were making a good investment. And
well, it sounds like you have. Well, let me ask you a question, Nick. Do you work in Austin, or do you work out there somewhere?
I work in Austin, but I don't have to be in the office all the time.
Ah, gotcha. So that makes it a little bit easier for when you do have to go. You can kind of pick the time you drive, right?
Yes, and I do have that option. So for me, it's really not a problem to drive into Austin, and the rest of the family we live in the Cedar Park area right now. So that's what for the most part, that's where we spend most of the time. Yeah.
Well, hey, buddy, I appreciate you listening to the show, and thanks for calling us. And good luck on the new house. Kevin, the thing about technology, right? It changes the way people live right now. You don't have to go to work every single day for a lot of the jobs that are out there.
Yep. Yeah, and that is one of the ways that in this competitive job market, different companies are offering people the ability to work from home. John, we can take texts as well at that same number, 512-836-0590. And we do have a text question. We can take a
Let's
call
go to
first.
our caller. Let's go to Chuck first. He's calling about Bear Creek subdivision. Hey, Chuck.
Hi, guys. I like listening to you just to get a lot of information, but I'm just curious. I haven't had my home appraised. I bought it in 2005, paid about $460 for it. It's about 3,800 square feet. It's in Berry Creek.
Oh, Berry Creek. Berry Creek?
Yes. And I don't see a significant increase in the value. Just looking at the other homes that's selling and neighbors that have sold their homes in the last year or so, I don't see a lot of increase in the value, which is kind of puzzling to me. Maybe you could shed some light on it, and maybe need to get the house appraised, but I just don't see a lot of increase in the value from what I paid for it.
Well, yeah, so a couple of things come in play, right? Location is extremely important, and we'll talk about your location where yours is, right? You're kind of on the outer rim of expansion. Timing is also very, very important. In 2005 and 2006 is where the last big peak was before this one in the market, right? So you probably bought at that point at the top of the market, and as you probably well know, a couple of years after that, that's when we had the big housing crash, right? And when the Great Recession. And so you had to have come back from that, right? So you basically bought at the peak, so you had to come slowly back to that. And then Berry Creek, obviously being up there in the Georgetown area, right? It is, and past Georgetown, it is, obviously it's very much so on the rim of expansion that Kevin likes to talk about. Yeah,
and I'll throw in there, John, you had mentioned to our last caller the idea that every asset has both land value and then the improvements value. And so this is a good example. Your house in Berry Creek that was likely built in the late 90s.
When was the house built?
04.
04.
Okay, 04. So even more extreme example here. But I'm looking at some of the recent sales in that neighborhood that are of that square footage size. And the first example that I jumped into their tax record is showing that the lot is assessed for $77,000 and the house is assessed for $330,000. And so those two components, it's only that $77,000 piece that's appreciating. The $330,000 piece is depreciating. So your value, that house that's almost $500,000, it may have 75 or 80% of its value in the depreciating category that's fighting against that land value that's trying to appreciate. And so as a net together, it doesn't feel like it's going up as much.
But I will tell you, it probably has since, say, 09 and 010 and 11, right?
Yes, it went down probably about 50, 60,000. It didn't go down much, which was interesting. It didn't go down during the crash. It didn't decrease in value too much, but it didn't go up in value as much as I would have thought it would have, especially being the proximity to Austin and Round Rock. It's a very nice neighborhood. It is. Yeah, it's great golf. Play golf out there many times. And the real deal is it really is on that. It's still on that rim of expansion right now. So I think in maybe 5 years from now, you'll probably see, maybe if the pace keeps going like we're doing, you probably will see a little bit more maybe than you did before as Austin's feelers get out into Georgetown and past Georgetown where you are. Okay, well, thank you, guys. I appreciate the information.
All right, thanks for calling.
Have a good day.
All right, bye-bye.
So Austin has feelers. You're going to have to tell us about Austin's feelers.
Well, before I do that, let's go to Whit in North Austin. Hey, Whit, thanks for calling the show. You had a question for us.
Yes, how you doing? I've got a property. It's a 211 condo right across the street from the new Charles Schwab building.
The Domain area?
The Domain, yeah. It's about the close. I think it's the closest thing you can own to the Domain, actually. So I got something in the letter. I just got it today from the city that their proposed zoning change, which is the majority of the rest of their property, it looks like. I don't know what it's for. I assume it's for office buildings or apartments. I don't know exactly. Well, my question, I've got another property in Round Rock that the lease is up in, I think they move in the end of April. So I'm not sure whether I need to sell that place now and move into my house or rent it out and then move into my house. I'm not sure what the value, what we're kind of looking at. It's paid for.
On the condo?
On the condo, yeah.
Can you tell us which community it is?
It's called Stoneleigh condominiums.
Yeah, familiar with those. They were originally built as apartments and then went through a condo conversion.
We just then went through repainting and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I would probably hold it. There's not a lot of affordable category that is that close to the Domain area and what's happening at the Domain,
and Apple and everything else.
Yeah,
right, close to Apple too. You're right.
Yeah, so I'm advising hold for my investor clients that have little houses and condos in that area that's just east of the Domain.
Yeah, rent it out and have somebody else pay for the property taxes and insurance on it.
The amount of jobs that's pouring in to that micro market is substantial, and it's good to own property right there.
Well, we got to take a break, bud. I'm sorry. Okay. If you'd like to call back, we can keep talking here. But, guys, you're listening to the Real Estate Zone. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. And welcome back to the show. This is the Real Estate Zone. John McClellan here. We are taking your phone calls, 512-836-0590. It's a wonderful day in Austin, Texas. South by Southwest. All the fun stuff that goes with that. Music, film, traffic.
Education.
Art. Traffic.
You have traffic on the brain today.
I do have. Well, because I was sitting in it earlier going to see my mom. Driving by Umaloft Gardens, and it's just packed over there. Yeah. People just streaming out. Everybody in Barton Springs. Obviously the weather's nice. And
I need to get you a good Zen book audio or something.
So the zombie book I'm listening to right now is probably not the best one when I'm sitting in traffic.
Now we figured out what's going on.
Now we're starting to get it. Yeah, all right. Well, let's get back to the show. Let's go to Ed in Round Rock. Hey, Ed, thanks for holding. You had a question for us.
Hey, guys, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Yeah, I live in Round Rock West neighborhood, 78681. And I've noticed a few houses there listed lately for around $370, $380 that are just a little over 2,000 square feet, under 2,200. And I guess that's approaching 170 square foot. And I didn't know if that's realistic out there now.
Kevin?
Let me see here. I'm taking a look in there.
Yeah, because that Round Rock, Round Rock's kind of divided in west and east, right? I-35 going right down the middle of it.
It is true. So the last three houses that sold in Round Rock West were 2,300 square feet, 2,000 square feet, 2,000 square feet, and sold for $389, $394, and $369.
How long were they on the market?
Those were on the market 21 to 22 days each.
Wow, that's extremely fast.
It is.
Because think about it, if you even put it on the market, it's going to be a few days before you actually, while you're doing the offers back and forth, before you actually put it as pending.
Now, it looks like first two had pools, and the third was a full remodel, really nicely done remodel. So these are houses, these three examples, the last ones to sell, were definitely at the top of their game, condition-wise.
So, Ed, what's your question out there? Just what are the prices doing? What's the median price, you said, Kevin, for that area?
Yeah, I was just wondering if that was realistic. I've got one I just remodeled, too, that's like 2,013 square feet, and it seems like they just keep on going.
Well, it looks like, it looks like if those sold in less than 3 weeks each at that price point, as long as your house, quote unquote, measures up to them, and there's not something, strange with the floor plan or something else that would set it apart. It seems like, and we've been seeing, and we haven't even talked about the stats. They're unbelievable across the Austin area. Austin itself is just on fire. We're going to be talking about that here in just a few minutes. But I think it's, if you did a flip over in that area, fixer upper, I think it's probably time to put it on the market and get it out of there. Move on to the next one.
Yeah, there's one that's listed on Street Lime Rock that's 2,900 feet, and they just listed that for $499.
Well, what you got to be careful about, just remember, it's not all about square footage, right? When you come to selling a property, right? And the last thing you want to do is price something at the very top of a market. Because you can't just take the price, the square foot, and divide it by the price, right? Or the price divided by the square foot to get what the value is. There's many other things to go into it. Just because you put, let's say, a 6,000 square foot house in that neighborhood doesn't mean you can sell it for $800,000, right? Or $900,000.
I get it. I'm surprised at how much people are asking and what they're selling for.
Hold on to your seat, because that house on Lime Rock is under contract.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, so, hey, forget what I said, Ed. I don't know anymore. This market's just crazy. It's crazy.
better about selling mine than now. Well, they're really going for around 170 a foot. That's great.
I tell you what, call back into the show and let us know how it went, all right?
Will do. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you very much. All right, let's go to Don. Hey, Don, thanks for holding. You had a question for us.
Hi, I have I'm in a home now I bought in 1992. It's in the Vista Oaks neighborhood up on 1431.
Yep.
I'm thinking I want to sell it a year and a half or so. But, it's been through kids and dogs and my projects, and it's long in the tooth. I was wondering if you knew of people or businesses that will come out and kind of look at the house as if they were going to flip it and give me advice as to what kind of things I should do and in what order I should do them so that...
Well, Don, I got the perfect... He's sitting right in front of me. So that's actually what Kevin does. You know, obviously he's a real estate broker, and that's what he does is he gives people advice on what you need to do based upon your neighborhood and what that means. What's your competition going to be, right? You got to, you don't want to spend too much on the kitchen or the bathroom than you have to for that neighborhood, right? So what's going to be your competition? So, one of the things I would do is contact Kevin off the show and find out, hey, what do I need to do over the next year to get this house in the right shape so I can get the maximum amount of dollars for it?
Perfect.
Yep, that's. I'd love to come out and do that for a lot of radio listeners.
Yeah,
and that's just comes from the experience. I see a lot of houses, and so I can give you that exact advice.
I use him when I do my houses too, Don. So if that says anything, plus he's been doing the show with me for 14 and a half years. So I definitely recommend him. His phone number is 512-658-2419, 658-2419.
Okay. So can I throw one more question in?
Sure.
Which direction and how far do I need to go in order to pick up maybe 5 or 10 acres of land and a 1,200 square foot home on it for $200K, $250, something like that?
Let's see, El Paso. No, what's the further? No. That's a great question. It depends on when you say acreage and the house on it. I mean, do you want some water on it? Do you want you want your your septic and, some of your utilities done already? Do you want raw land? There's a lot of things that go into that question. And that's one of the things I would talk about, Kevin, off the air, because, for a broad question, we could probably answer that. But for him to drill down to find out what your needs are, right, I think that's probably the best thing to do.
All right, Kevin, you got warning.
Okay. Give me a call. My cell phone's on 1% battery, but I'll call you back as soon as I can.
All right. His number is 658-2419. All right. Thank you, Don. Appreciate it. All right, let's go to Alex. Hey, Alex, thanks for calling. You had a question for us.
Hey there. I've got a house that I'm going to be selling here sooner than later, but I was pre-qualified to buy a new home without having to sell my current home.
Yep.
And so whenever I do end up selling my new home, I'm going to have about $120,000 or so cash that I don't think I'm going to get that transaction done in time to close it on the new house.
Well, I got a perfect thing for you to do. Let me ask you a couple questions. On the new house, what kind are you doing, a conventional like a Fannie Mae loan, or are you doing a government loan?
Conventional, 5% down is,
beautiful. Okay, there's what's called a recast, RECAST, that you can do. Once your servicer has that loan for about 60 days or so, you need to call them up and say, listen, I want to do a recast. I want to put a lump sum down. You could take the whole 150. Typically, the minimum you can do is $10,000. Let's say you took $100,000 of it, and you owed $200,000 on the property. They would reassess your note back at the 100. Recast it at the $100,000. Redo your amortization table with the current interest rate and everything you have, and give you a new payment based upon that new loan amount. And
that's
typically,
exactly
some banks don't charge. Some banks charge like $250 to do it, but it's well worth it. There's no other closing costs involved. Like I said, majority of them do it for free. Some of them charge a little bit of money, but you just take that money. If you have mortgage insurance, if you're putting that much money down, they have to get rid of it as long as you have 22% equity in the property. They have to instantly drop the mortgage insurance, and they'll drop your principal and interest based upon that new base loan amount with your current interest rate.
So I do have to take the new mortgage down at least to have 80% or to at least have 20% equity so that
I would, to be safe, to do it at 78% LTV or 22% equity, and then they'll drop that, so you won't have that mortgage insurance payment anymore, and you'll get that recast so they'll base that payment on the new principal balance on your current interest rate.
Hey, that's awesome. That's exactly what I needed. Thank you.
All right, Alex, thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Let's go to Mike, and I'm going to say that's Harker Heights, not Parker Heights. Hey, Mike, how you doing? Mike, are you there? Hello, Mike. Mike tried to call back. He was wanting to know if we knew anything about Dallas. Here's the things I know about Dallas. It's 200 miles away. It has the Cotton Bowl there. There's Jerry's World. My buddy Kelly lives there, who listens to the show all the time. My buddy Jerry lives up there. He listens to the show all the time.
They're both friendly, but Dallas is not known to be as friendly as Austin is.
Not as friendly as Austin. No, it isn't. It is booming, but I heard actually it's, from talking to some friends up there, there's some areas because of some of the current administration's stance on visas that are being hurt, especially up in the Plano, Prosper area.
Interesting.
A lot of the engineers up there from some other countries, India and some other places, and it's harder to get their visas for that now, their work visas. And so less jobs means less demand, right, for housing. So something to think about. Hey, Mike just called about. Hey, Mike, you're there this time?
Yeah, I'm back this time. Can you hear me all right?
Absolutely.
All righty. I got a question. It's kind of outside the Austin area, if that's all right.
Okay.
I bought a farm on the east side of Dallas.
Okay.
5 years ago, Rockwall was the closest part of Dallas to the farm on Interstate 30. Now, Dallas goes about 5 miles past that.
Yep.
Have you got any feel for how fast Dallas is pushing out that direction?
Well, I was kind of just mentioning it. So we don't, right? All I have is some information. I have friends that own mortgage companies up there. I have friends that just live there, right, and are interested in real estate. Dallas is one of those cities, obviously with Fort Worth, that's built almost like, the wagon wheel. It gets to just expand out evenly on each side, right, because there's so much available land all the way around the city. Here in the Austin area, there's only different corridors that can grow quickly because some of the geographic features that we have here. So with Dallas, and just think about that, the larger that rim of expansion is, they have that whole loop around it that can take up demand, right? And so it's gonna move out slower. And we were just talking about that some Plano and Prosper are having some problems right now because of the visa situation, and it's harder to get work visas right now for some of the engineers that are coming over. And some of the neighborhoods up there, there's had a large percentage of these engineers and engineer types, whatever, are less demand because there's not as many coming over anymore. So, to know that area, we could give you broad spectrums of how things work, but to drill down on that one, it's kind of outside of our expertise. We deal with Central Texas most of the time. But, like I was talking about with that wagon wheel, I'm talking about expansion, Dallas, every time it grows out a little bit more, that wheel gets bigger, and that circumference is much, much bigger, and that diameter has a lot more to cover.
Yeah, I mean, Highway 75 or I-35 is all the way to the border.
Yeah, I know. It's absolutely nuts. And I've been going up there. My grandparents are up in that area. I've been seeing that area grow. Listen, here's the thing where you're almost guaranteed a great return on real estate. Hold it for a long time, right? Hey, Mike, we appreciate you listening. Thanks for listening to the show. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be taking more of your calls, and we're going to go over the Austin stats.
And we got some text questions.
You're listening to the Real Estate Zone. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the show. This is John McClellan, local mortgage banker with Supreme Lending. Kevin, I got to give a gigantic shout out to one of my loan officers. She runs an office in Liberty Hill. We've been talking a lot about Liberty Hill, obviously, today. Right? Janet Widmer, one of my favorite LOs, hardworking woman, just out there just doing the best she can do. She got voted by the Liberty Hill newspaper #1 loan officer in Liberty Hill, the best loan officer in Liberty Hill. So a big shout out to Janet Widmer out there in Liberty Hill and Bertram. Janet, you deserve it 100%. I see how hard you work all the time. If you're thinking about buying or selling, or if you're thinking about refinancing, or if you need a loan, call my girl Janet out in Liberty Hill. Her phone number is 512-619-9050, 619-9050. Best loan officer in Liberty Hill by the newspaper out there. So big shout out to Janet Widmer.
Congrats to you too. I mean, it's important. I have the same philosophy with my team, but it's important to have really, really good people. And not every company does that. A lot of times they chase after volume or whatever else it is, and you have not the best quality, but it's to have her. That's a representation.
Man. She cares too. She works her butt off all the time, so she deserves that #1 in Liberty Hill. So congratulations, Janet Widmer. Kevin, let's go. We have a bunch of texts.
A bunch of texts. So thanks for hopefully they're still listening. We have a text saying, "Hi, John. On Koenig, there's a huge construction project going on. Do you know what that's going to be?" It's the old First Texas Honda dealership. Tom. So Tom, yes, we do know what that is. It's at about the intersection of Woodrow and that Honda dealership sat empty for a while, for several years. They did finally sell to a multifamily developer. So this is going to be a big apartment building.
Where's it at again?
A lot of units. It's on Koenig at about Woodrow. And
did you just say the Honda dealership?
The old Honda dealership.
Yeah.
So,
Howdy, Honda.
I think the unit count's around 320 to 340 units. So it's going to be a pretty big building. And it's the kind of thing that can happen in a local space that will really change the retail along that stretch of Koenig. So you have right now, there's those little houses that have commercial zoning that are, tax offices, law offices. I think we'll see the dynamic of the retail change on that stretch of Koenig Lane. So, Tom, if you live there, if that's why you're asking, if you live nearby, my prediction, while much of the neighborhood may be grumbling about traffic, like John has been grumbling all day, there will be more traffic count. But I think in a good way, you're going to see new and interesting retail changes that hopefully you can walk to and utilize as well.
Well, and guess what? If you just get stuck in traffic, just walk over to Dart Bowl and get you some enchiladas.
Yeah. Those are legendary. That's one of the top secrets you just let out.
Yeah.
You just let out during South by Southwest week. You just told everybody where to get
Dart
enchiladas.
Bowl, the enchiladas, and throw a few spares.
Tonight's evening news. There was a mass zombie attack on Dart Bowl.
Hey, let's do the stats, Kevin, because it's spring has sprung. Obviously, it was in the 20s last week. Now it's in the 80s. It's like 88 degrees today. It's absolutely gorgeous outside. It's South by Southwest. The eyes are on us. What is going on with the market? Give us the stats.
This market has just roared back to life coming out of winter in a monstrous way. We're now in a hotter, if you would call it that way, a hotter market than we were, I think, at any time all of last year. The overall stats, so the whole MLS has 67 active listings, 9896 pendings. That ratio has dropped to 1.74.
And so this is not just Austin proper. This is Bastrop. This is Caldwell County. This is name some of the counties that we're talking about. Williams County, Hayes County, Lee County. Some of these houses, they skew this a little bit because those do sit longer out in these areas.
Yeah, here's how much they skew. So when I just searched inside city limits of Austin, that ratio drops to 1.29. We have, when you get to a ratio of 1, there's one house to choose from. You list your criteria. Here's what I want. Here's my price range. Oh, here's the house you can have.
Right. It's like walking on the car lot, like I always say, but there's 3 people and there's 3 cars. So you better pick one of those 3 and you better go jump on the one you want.
So let's talk about price range. When we limit this further and say, okay, what about City of Austin under 500,000? That ratio drops to 0.91. So now there's less than one house to choose from.
So you're battling with somebody. You're doing like Indian wrestling to get this house.
And if you drop it to what's inside City of Austin under 300,000, the ratio is now 0.75. This is crazy. This is an affordability crisis that's not really. It's being discussed a little bit, but it's way worse than.
And luckily, rates have come down a little bit to help with it just a little bit. But so much demand is just going to continue to push prices up. We were just talking about Round Rock West a minute ago. That was pretty surprising what some of the houses are selling for over there. And a lot of these people that are buying houses, it may not be the house that they want, right? Or it may not have the amenities they want. We had Walt Brewer, that's one of my loan officers who specializes in renovation loans, on last week. And so there's ways to, if you don't buy the perfect house, there may be ways to fix that house up during your purchase, by the way. Don't wait till after you buy it. Actually do it while you're buying it. You can actually borrow some money to improve the house that you're actually purchasing during the initial transaction. So check that out. Walt Brewer at my office does that.
Yeah. Good.
Wow, those are incredible stats.
It's crazy.
And that's just single family only.
That's single family only. And basically, when you look at the map, it's really telling. I wish we could show this map over radio, but there's a crescent that's forming. So when we say this under 300,000, there's nothing central. Obviously, there's nothing west. You have this eastern crescent that's like a reverse C that starts to show up that forms around Austin. So it's wild. It's pretty crazy for sure.
It is. And you know what? It's pretty crazy that the show's almost over. But guess what's even crazier? It's South by Southwest. We're going to go enjoy it this week. Hope you can join us on Wednesday for the big party you guys are throwing down at Cedar Street. We'll be here next Saturday, kind of just dive back in again and find out what's happening here in Central Texas, see if this trend is going to continue. I think it is, just like we're hopefully going to continue, Kevin. Guys, you've been listening to the Real Estate Zone. We'll see you next time.